side text on the beat.
What is up, guys? Back again with another video. Today I'm actually going to be going over how to get a VQ35, either DE or HR, doesn't matter, out of a 350Z or Infiniti G35, and also I think the Infiniti FX35 and like a weird Altima or something. But mostly we're talking about the G35 and 350Z, how to get these reliable and get up to 300,000 miles. Now mine only has 150, but there's many people that report these actually they get these to 300,000, and it is very possible, and I'm going to walk you through how. So the absolute number one thing to getting these 300,000 miles would be check on the oil. Oh my god, check on the oil every, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, honestly, and as your mileage gets higher, even more. So these cars, if my camera would focus, that'd be great. These cars burn a lot of oil, and I'm talking about a quart every 1,000 miles. So for me, that's about once every 3 weeks to a month for how often I drive. Now, it's very essential you get an oil catch can, because this will actually help the burning, and this will help. So basically, to explain what's going on here for those who don't know, this originally comes with a little hose, that PCV, and will go back into the intake manifold right here. But what that does is it ventilates oil vapors and oil back into the intake to get burned off by your engine. That's actually not good, because over time it can create sludge, and then just all kinds of nastiness. And if I actually pop this manifold up, you'd see oil sludge, or it's not sludge because I lifted it like 20,000 miles ago, but you'll see like oil residue, and it's just nasty and it smells bad. It's just not good. So what this actually does is it catches the oil getting ventilated out of the crankcase here, and that way it's mostly fresh air going back into the intake to get burned off. Some people, they do a closed catch can where they'll plug this off. I personally, I don't do that, because there's actually a vacuum assist on how this works, and I feel like you're messing with the vacuum on the whole engine, and I'd rather just not deal with that. This is a pretty safe option. This is honestly a $24 one I got off Amazon, but it honestly works fine. It has a little dipstick here. It's not terribly big. There's not even a lot of oil on it right now. I just emptied it out like 2 weeks ago, but yeah. So check the oil levels, make sure it's good, and make sure you check it when it's cold too. If you check it when you just ran the engine, you're not going to be able to get an accurate reading. So wait till it sits cold overnight, check it in the morning, and see. And then if it's halfway up to the high level, that means you need half a quart. And then if it's like a full all the way to the L, then that means you need a whole quart. So just keep a few quarts of oil around with you, and then just keep topping it off, because what happens is when the engine gets low, things can just go bad. It can cause rod knock. It's just going to wear the engine. It's not going to get the right oil pressure. So just make sure you keep up with that. So number 2 really applies to any vehicle, but that's just keep up with all your fluids, and just constantly check everything. Check your belts, check your fluids, your transmission fluid. I have an automatic, but I know a lot of you guys are probably going to prefer manual. I prefer manual as well. This was just in a really good shape when I bought it. It had one owner, and honestly, for my daily, I'd rather not have a manual. I'd rather have a manual as a toy, especially because I live in a city, and driving could just be a pain in the ass. I know for those of you that live in like LA, you can relate. But yeah, just maintain stuff. Like honestly, that's it. Any car can last a decent amount of time if you just take care of it. It's kind of like a body. Just get it checked up every once in a while. Make sure nothing's wrong, and if something's wrong, fix it right away, and don't let things get out of hand, because cars are like dominoes, and you let one problem go on too long, it's gonna fall onto the next problem, and eventually it's gonna get to something like catastrophic, like an engine failure. So yeah, just make sure you change the spark plugs every once in a while. Change your oil every 4,000. You can get away with a little longer, but especially because I always have to dump oil in it. But change your oil at least every 5,000 miles. Ignore my really janky air filter that I'm ordering a replacement part for. It's really bad. Get your AC checked out. I have new belts. I have new pulleys. I had my alternator replaced. It was 10 years old and it finally gave out on me. The only thing that I haven't replaced on this whole drive belt system is my power steering pump. I haven't had any issues with it. I've even had the water pump replaced. Now this car is timing chain driven, and when people run it low on oil, it can actually wear this out pretty quickly, and you'll hear like a grinding noise when you start the car. And that's not good, because that means that one of the guides in the timing chain is bad, or the tensioner. So replacing that timing chain is not easy. You're probably gonna have to pull the whole motor out of the car, or at the very least take this whole bumper and radiator support off, which on this car is actually pretty easy to do. You don't want to have to replace that, and if you do, I would not recommend doing it yourself unless you are a highly skilled mechanic. I would not consider myself one. I'm a 21-year-old kid that likes going fast. So I'd rather not send a rod to God. So I'm just gonna pay someone to do that if that ever goes out. It's a pretty expensive job, but yeah. Also for these cars, so these engines are really good when you keep them stock, but people start having problems when they start throwing twin turbos on them and superchargers and 150 shots of nitrous. These engines really aren't designed to handle too much more horsepower than they already can. That's just the way Nissan designed them. I don't know why, but people have had, they'll send rods to God just on 7 psi of boost, and that's just how the motor is, honestly. The piston, I think it's actually the piston rods that are just weak. So if you want to go really fast, get some spoolies going, you definitely want to upgrade the internals on this engine. And this is not a cheap engine to upgrade, honestly. I've seen parts go for a ton. So if I were you, I would either just do bolts on and get a tune, which is what I plan on doing pretty soon here. I'm gonna get a custom true dual exhaust because I have a very ricey muffler delete and resonator delete. It's stupid loud. I'll show you how it sounds at the end of the video. But so last but not least, I would refrain from doing anything super sketchy to the electrical system. So some people have really weird problems with the electronics in this car. The CD changer won't work. My car currently, this is actually a very common problem. It will go back, but it won't go forward. So if I go back with the seat, then I'm kind of stuck there unless I mess with the switch enough to push it forward. I'm gonna have to replace the whole switch or clean it out. I haven't gotten to it yet because it's not like that big of a deal to me right now, but the car electronics are a little weird. I've definitely had some goofy stuff happen. I've had the radio shut off on me for a minute and then turn back on. I haven't had too much yet, but a lot of people have weird electronical problems with the car. And things will get really haywire if you start messing with the wiring and putting in freaking 214s in the back and stuff like that. And if you're gonna do that, fine, but get it done professionally, or make sure you 100% know what you're doing. You triple check everything, because it's not fun when things just start going crazy and then your car randomly turns off and all that. I actually had a double dent in here, but for some reason it didn't like the radio and it wouldn't play loud. It would play very softly and it was not enjoyable at all, and it sounded like garbage. And I had a cool looking setup, but it just wasn't worth it. I actually want to be able to hear music if I'm not trying to listen to that exhaust. But you can see I have a Unident police scanner here. It works pretty good. It's not the most expensive one, but it's good enough. I actually had it mounted up here, but I didn't like how it was there. It just looked bad and looked rinky-dink, and it attracts more attention. If a cop were to pull me over, I can easily just like hide it, throw it to the side or something, because it's not illegal to have, but if they see you have it, they're gonna kind of give you some attitude and they're gonna know you're like trying not to get pulled over, and that's just gonna make them triggered. So don't do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, if you're a car guy, you want this car, this is a good car for you if you're on a budget and you want to upgrade from your Honda Civic, this is a great upgrade. I promise, I've done it. I'm missing a fender well here. I apologize. I actually have it right here, but it's all torn, and I'm either gonna put this back on or get a new one. I don't know. But Vegas gets a lot of flash floods, and I don't want to get, what do you call it, hydrolock. That'd be no bueno. So yeah, check your oil, check all your fluids and basics, spark plugs, coil packs, everything else, and be very careful with the electronics. Don't start being ratchet and wiring stuff yourself when you have no idea what you're doing and using electrical tape to wire stuff. You're just gonna have all kinds of problems and you're not gonna be happy. Other than that, these cars are pretty decent and parts aren't that bad. This radiator was like less than $100, I think. Belts were like nothing, like change. What else have I replaced? The alternator, like I paid out like 120 bucks for that. I need to get my ball joints replaced. I paid 50 bucks for both my ball joints. I still have them in the garage. I've been really lazy with them. Other than that, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.